Incredible day, family. Welcome to the Your Perspective Matters podcast. I am your host, Ronald Wynn, and today is so tired. Okay. Um, I got to, I want to apologize to you guys, right? Because even though I was excited on the last two episodes because of my new setup and everything and lights and all of that good stuff. I had some issues with some audio, right? So I apologize for not having my audio 100%, right? But this is still growing stages, right? We are still going to be able to grow to exponential growth. So, and this is just me being vulnerable and transparent, right? You guys get to see me grow on this specific type of level, right? Like I'm not hiding anything. Like you guys seen from the beginning, to now. Look, now I kind of look like I'm in the studio. Hey, let's get it. Look at the light. I look good. Oh my god, this is crazy. But nonetheless, right? I'm excited on today because there's a very interesting topic that is dear to my heart, and I believe that it's not even just I believe. I feel in my soul that number one, when you are trying to build something, right, it is already hard enough. It's hard enough to build anything, right? And while we're building and while we're doing these things, right, like you have your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. It already takes you enough courage, or it takes you enough strength, or it takes you a lot of being able to even get rid of other people's opinions or other people's perspectives so that way you can actually start a thing. Like I think that's one of the hardest things is starting. Literally. Like, yo, I could be on that all day, but as we're doing these things, we start to make traction, right? You start building your business, you start living the dream that you want, or at least starting to be en route to it. The hardest thing that that I believe any of us has to face, like one of the deepest challenges is leaving something that you started. Like can like I'll raise two hands. Like can we be honest, right? And you could put in the comments, like just say it's me, it's me, it's me. Because like have you ever been a person or have you ever felt that way where the thing that you are building or the thing that you're building on, the things that you're creating is something that you just don't want to leave. One of the main reasons why we don't want to leave it is because we had some skin in the game, right? We had to invest our time. We had to invest our money. We had to withstand a lot of people telling us no. And there's so much, even just on that part. So, number one, I'm encouraging you guys to keep going, right? I'm encouraging you guys to stand firm and stand strong. But I want to speak on the leaving part, right? Hence, the title of this is called "It's Time to Quit," and it's like, when do you know that it's time for you to quit? Like, how do you know it's time for me to quit this place or quit this dream or start over or quit the relationship? Like, how do you know? And there is no short answer to it, right? But the biggest thing that I believe that we need to pay attention to, that should be a green flag, is if the place, the relationship, or the thing or opportunity is no longer serving you, then that is not where you need to be. Because if I stay there, then it's going to do nothing but take from me. And you don't want to leave empty handed in anything. And and it's so crazy because we could have a perspective of, you know what, I'm going to leave this job, but it taught me everything. Well, if it taught you everything, then guess what? You're leaving with something. But some people look at it as, oh no, I don't have no more money, or I don't know where I'm going to pay my bills. I don't. Well, guess what? You can take everything that you learned in that specific job or in that specific field or company, right? And you can be able to transfer it to wherever you go. One of the things that hinder us is that we think that we need to fully depend on someone else to do a thing. When in fact of the matter, what if God was calling you to start it? What if it was first of your kind? Or what if it wasn't first of your kind? What if it was made 10 times, 100 times over, but it's just not you? Like, people buy into you before they buy into the product. You is what qualify the product to be purchasable. I'm not going to purchase from you if I don't honor your character, if I don't like who you are. Like, that's the first stage to even being able to get people to buy from you. Are you of a good person? Do you have good characteristics? Are you a lover of people? Are you a person that wants to focus on the needs of the person instead of just taking from them? You don't want to buy something from anyone that all it's doing is just ending you with nothing. Like, I just gave you all my money just for what? Literally. So I want to talk on that aspect on today, right? Leaving. How do we quit? Or not how do we quit, but um the feeling it takes, right? Or let's just go with how, right? And I can go with some of my relationships or some of my situations that I've had in my life, right? One of the things that I had to leave was a relationship. There are relationships that you are going to have that you built, whether it's 5 years of friendship, whether it's 7 years of marriage, whether it's 7 years of just being girlfriend and boyfriend. You guys were just together for a good while, right? There's going to be something that you're building, and specifically with relationships, that you just don't want to leave. Like, a part of why many people stay in terrible relationships is because of the length of it. They feel like, if I've committed to 10 years with you and we've made it this far, I might as well spend the eternity. But there's something that my guy Jim Rohn said. He said, well, your last 10 years are going to be like your next 10. So if I know that my last 10 were terrible, why would I stay in the same position to do these specific things? No, there's gotta be an adjustment. There's gotta be a shift. And in this specific situation, you gotta leave that companionship. There was let me tell you, right? One of the things that hurt me the most, and I don't get hurt by a lot, one of the things that hurt me the most is companionship relationships, is leaving them in general, because I don't know how to love a little bit. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to. Okay, I'm gonna take my time and we could build into. No. You gonna get You gonna get this work. That's just what it is. So because I'm a risk taker. I understand that ultimately I want love, right? Ultimately in companionship, I want love. So if I want love, you have to understand that the prerequisite to love is hurt. So at some point, it doesn't matter who it is, it doesn't matter if you trust them with your whole heart. You have to understand that there is a potential that they will hurt you, but you just trusting that they just don't. If you close that door of the hurt coming in, you also close the door on the happiness comes in. So the door is open. I want love, so I'm willing to risk it. Now you set boundaries so that way you don't get hurt the way you don't really want to get hurt, right? Um, but ultimately, and this is another thing, right? When it comes to relationships, you got to understand that you only get hurt by the ones that you love the most. Like, I hope that didn't go over your head. You only get hurt by the ones that you love the most. If it's a stranger that tells me that I don't look good, man, whatever. So, but if my lady, if my shorty, if my wife tells me, "Hey, you don't look good," I'm like, "Hold on, what do you? Why would you even say that? Like, I got my best outfit on today, but it's not hitting. It's not Ron, your shirt it's not hitting. You need to change your shirt. What are you talking about? I need to change my. Are you crazy? Like, this is my favorite shirt." Or somebody could, you could even say, "Hey, my logo trash." Maybe, but it's not gonna feel. I'm not gonna feel it from others, specifically strangers. Only people that I care about the most. So you're only gonna really get hurt by the ones that you love the most, right? Now, physically, obviously, you can get hurt by anybody, but we're not. Sorry about that, family. We're not talking about that, right? So, I almost lost my train of thought. But yes, you want to transition from that, and you want to make sure that you set the boundaries so that way you can be able to, witness love. So for me, I had to leave companionships. Right, there was, I mean, every relationship that I've had, I really just didn't want to let go. Whether I felt that they were really for me or not, is because of the love. Is everything that I poured into it that I'm just like, man, I don't want to give this up. Nah, I don't. My longest relationship was 3.5 years, and I didn't want to give it up. My shortest relationship, my shortest true relationship, was like a couple months. And it's funny to say true, but like, yeah, it's yeah. I've I've been there, right? In different spectrums where I had short term and then I had some long term. But overall, it was hard to realize, oh, you want to love on someone else? Are you kidding? I just did this for your birthday, or we went this, we did this. I spent all this money on this restaurant, took this, that. But you have to let go. It is important to let go. It is important to leave because that's going to allow you to grow better. You'll be holding on. You'll be holding on to someone else's blessings while stopping your own, while hindering your own blessing. So I had to realize, you know what? It just wasn't for me. Sorry, it just wasn't for me. So, it's important to it's oh man, it's also important to leave well to the best of your ability. Right now, there's some situations that it just be situational. It just be doing what it do, right? But overall, you have to. I believe that if you learn how to exit well, you'll learn how to. It'll create the door for you to be able to enter well. So, in all my relationships, oops, in all my relationships, I made sure that there was a clean exit. Right, some of them we've broken up and been back together multiple times, but overall, it was a clean exit. Even if it didn't start off with, let's say, the first or second time that we've been together, that that we what's it called? That it didn't hit off. Basically, we didn't exit well the first couple times, but at least with the last one, it was, and I was intentional with that. Right? Shout out to Sarah Jakes. Uh, uh, um, there was a message that she was talking about that had to do with like being able to leave and exit well. That spoke tremendously to me. Um, but yeah, so another thing for me when it comes to relationships was friendships, right? Like I think when you have a good, it's not easy. It is not easy to find such a good friend, a true friend, right? That's going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that, right? It is not easy. So I've had some friendships. Specifically, there were some friendships that I had to let go. Number one, because they just didn't serve me no more. They served me up until I realized that they wasn't serving. Like that's number one, right? There's going to be some people. Hey, we used to drink, we used to smoke, we used to whatever, but that's no longer me. So if you can't accept me for who I am and where I'm going, then this gotta end, right? There was a friendship that I had that we just played video games all the time. You know, that was just what it was. And the unfortunate part was I was more focused on his happiness than he was on mine. Right? I settled for whatever he wanted, um, and whatever was convenient for him versus I didn't feel like I got that in return. And when I grew up and started to realize that, I was like, oh, I gotta choose me. Like, at what point in your life are you going to choose you all the time? There's no sometime. And this is a sidebar, but this is not even just for a regular relationship. This is for like mentorship. This is for opportunities. This is for even when you are a parent, you still gotta choose. There is never a time where it is not a me season. There is never a time when you don't choose you. You always choose you. It's just that you're adding people to it. If you have kids, you're adding people to who's priority. So what's priority in your life? If you take yourself off the priority list, that means that you're doing a disservice to everyone else that you want to be as priority. If I put my kids to be priority and I'm no longer priority, that means that I'm dying slowly as they are possibly living. Hmm. This is deep, right? I don't know if you can handle this, right? But welcome to the Your Perspective Matters, but we get uncomfortable out here. Like that's just what it is. If it's uncomfortable to you, like my pastor says, say ouch. Just say ouch, right? So it is important for us to know this and understand this. Um, for me also, and there were some there staying on friendships, right? There was also some friendships that I had where they never served me at all. Oh man. Mm-mm-mm. Being with specific people that you thought that had your best interest at heart and never did was mind blowing. I'm like, as I was looking over it afterwards, I'm like, why in the world did I spend this amount of money on these people? Why in the world did I let these people that close to me? Why? There was no reason for it because they didn't mean you any good. There's also a perspective shift that needs to happen for you to be able to effectively say, you know what, I need to leave because this no longer serves me. It no longer serves me. And that's what happened. You might have some things in common, or your past character, or your past personality, or just who you used to be might have been who they knew. And that was it. That's as far as you go because that person has died a long time ago. I hope you went to the funeral because so I'm not that person anymore, right? The other thing, right there's now we transitioning from relationships, and I want to speak about opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities that we need to leave. So if I can be vulnerable, right? One of the opportunities, and I don't even got this written down in my notes, but one of the opportunities was work. Now I know this is the entrepreneurial time, like everybody wants to be entrepreneur and all of that. I highly encourage it, but um, I so for me, I'm an excellent worker, right? I work my behind off. It doesn't matter what I do. If you gonna have me mopping the floors, I'm gonna be the best at mopping. If you want me to sort some papers, I'm gonna be the best at that. Whatever you got me to. And I made a decision very early on in my life. I said, if I'm going to work, at least do the thing that I love to do. During that time, it was computers, which I still love, right? I mean, I still do. I still fix them and uh, do, all these different things. But it got to a point where I was like, you know what? That's going to be my commitment. If you're going to see my journey of me making money and getting jobs or whatever, it's going to be in me having a career versus me just being in a job. So I did that. And I've worked in multiple different jobs. I've traveled several states doing what I love to do, which was fix computers, which is great, right? And then it got to a point where I started to realize, and it didn't happen until I started working at the airport, right? When I started working at the airport for one of the airlines, started realizing that, man, I love this, but this is not what I really love to do. This was just something that became, this was something that was pretty easy for me. It just came, I don't know why or how, it just was something supernatural that is just, once I was able to acquire the information, it was like, it was easy, right? So fixing computers was just the thing that I just attached to very quickly. And I realized that that's not the thing that I love to do. What I love to do is help people. So simultaneously, while I was working at the airport, I was also in a network marketing company, right? And in the network marketing company, it allowed me to see that and it allowed me to witness that because while I was working at the airport, I was also taking calls, helping people throughout the day. I was prospecting, I was answering questions, I was even doing training sometimes, trying not to get caught, right? Um, I'm not supposed to be on my phone, but hey, it is what it is, right? Um, but yeah, I was doing that. And I realized like, man, I love to fix things, right? Or I love to help people. And fixing things was one of the things I was able to help people. So that's why I stayed in IT for the longest. And as I started growing and realizing that that wasn't it, what my career should be in, or what my career really gotta be, is the thing that I truly love, which is helping. So I was able to help people mentally. I was able to help people on a financial tip. Like I've helped people make money. That's the crazy part. Like, and it sounds ridiculous. Like it even in like, I don't know. I'm just a humble person, right? I expect change from the conversation. I expect change from when you visit me. When you are in my presence, like that's just what's going to happen. There's going to be something that's going to change. It has to be, right? My there's something that I call Operation Hope, right? Which stands for help one person each day. So if I'm going to help you each day, that means that there has to be a transformation. My help will lead to some sort of transformation, even if it's 1%. Even if I promise you, I just need the 1%, right? In His Word, it talks about God leaving the 99 and coming for the one. Like that's just me. I'm good with the one. Give me the one, and we rocking, right? And that's just a gift of mine. I know this for sure, but it's still um I want to say humbling, or it's still just so, it catches me by surprise all the time when I hear someone state that, hey, I've been impacted by what you said or what you've done or whatever, and this is my transformation. And part of the transformation was there was someone that was able to quit their job because I was teaching them trading. There was another one that there was a guy in Africa. He was on my calls, And he was like, yo, I'm now teaching this to my people out here, but I want to show you something. And he sent me a screenshot of him making $10,000 US. So, whoa. At that time, I didn't even make that money. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. I didn't even make nowhere close to it. I made 10% multiple times of that, right? Um, but I've never made it all in one trade. Like I didn't see it. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, whoa, that would have changed my life, right? But nonetheless, like I was able to do this, but I had to realize, like, as I started growing into entrepreneurship, started realizing that network marketing is and let me say this because I will eventually talk a lot more about network marketing, but network marketing is a great way to start out, right? There's going to be some people that never have any success. There's going to be some people that have a little bit of success in terms of financials, and then there's going to be some people that have a tremendous amount of success. Regardless of what, it is not the end all be all. It is a starting point, or it is somewhere where you can allow to groom you and give you a whole different perspective that you've never been able to really have before. And that's what it did for me. As I started growing in entrepreneurship and being more heavy in my personal development, I started realizing that I no longer want to join a platform. I wanted to be the platform. So that's what I started to do. That's where I started to be more intentional with my Sunday calls. I was doing those all the time. I was sending out motivational quotes. Shout out to you, whoever was able to receive those quotes, right? And it was only a select few, well, a select many, to be honest. And I was doing that for like I think 6 months straight, something like that, right? It was a good while, but it was every day, Monday through Sunday, right? You were able to witness these things, um, but I end up growing out of it. I end up growing out of network marketing. Now, do I say, oh no, you should never? No, no, no. I think everybody. I think it should be either once you finish high school, you do something network marketing, or once you finish college, or while you're in college, you do network marketing. I think, period, after you finish high school, do network marketing. Highly suggested, right? But that's just my perspective, right? But nonetheless, I had to leave that. And it was so crazy because I kept doing so much things entrepreneurial on the entrepreneurial side of my own that I started realizing that I was creating my own movement. Like it got to the point where I really started to absorb. Yeah, you are the platform. You literally are the platform on so many ways. And even with everybody that I've met in that platform, um, in the network marketing company, I still have like if I hit them up today, which I do, we still have a relationship. I didn't. Oh no, y'all not better than me. I left that bum company. No, 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 no. Because, and here's the thing: what messes up any company is not just the products, right? Because in this case, it wasn't really just the products. It had a lot to do with the people that people just didn't. A lot of people had ulterior motives. Let's just say that, right? We're gonna get to that when I do that episode. So if you want that episode, just comment the word network marketing, right? And then I'll do it sooner than later. But nonetheless, I was able to effectively leave that company, and literally without me knowing, I did it without even like being intentional. It just became a subconscious thing. I just ended up leaving. Um, And it was more so a mental thing than just a physical, because my membership wasn't deactivated, right? My membership was just inactive. But after a certain amount of time, it deactivates. And I made a decision. I said I'm not even gonna go back, because I've created enough relationships and I've developed enough uh, wisdom and everything to be able to do this elsewhere. And I didn't necessarily need to do in terms of network marketing, but just in general, be the platform. Be the platform. You always represent you. So, and that's what I was doing. And I was able to leave because that no longer served me. Hear me when I say this. If it no longer serves you, not okay, it no longer does what I want it to do for me. No, no, no. If it no longer serves you, there's a difference. So those things no longer serve me, specifically with network marketing. Now maybe I might jump back into it later on or whatever. I don't know. But as of right now, I'm good. I'm completely good. Right. So and the last thing, right? So the first thing I want to, run through these bullet points real quick. The first thing was leaving relationships. The second thing is leaving opportunities. The third is going to be leaving the place you reside. This is probably one of the hardest things that I specifically had to face. Here's why. With me leaving New York, right? I'm leaving a place that I've lived my entire life, which means that I have super comfortability there. Like, despite all the nasty comments and despite all of the what is it, the safety issues or whatnot, right? I was good there because it was my norm. I was chilling, like you couldn't tell me nothing. I made a lot of money there. I made a lot of friends there. I don't make enemies anywhere, so I don't think I have one enemy, and that's the devil. That's it. That's the only person that that's the only person that me and him we're beefing. 100%. Right. But anybody else, I don't have any beef with anybody. Literally. Right. So I'm there in New York doing my thing, and I realized that I've stopped growing. Like, I've worked at several different IT companies. I've traveled outside of New York, came back multiple times. Um, all my majority of my relationships were in New York, obviously because that's where I live. Um, but then it got to a point where I realized I'm not growing no more, and it all really happened. Like, the awareness of this really happened when I started to fully pursue entrepreneurship. Like, when you get to sit with yourself, is the time that you really get to know yourself. You get to know your strengths, your weaknesses, what you like, what you don't like, where you need to be, where you don't need to be, where you lowered the standard, where you need to raise the standard, where you build boundaries, where you didn't build boundaries. You become aware when you get to sit with yourself. Doing entrepreneurship, being an entrepreneur allows you to sit with yourself. You have to sit with yourself every single day. Every single day. I went from working a 9 to 5, having a plan of what you do every morning, right? I have to, for me specifically, right? I had to look at my route. Right? I had to look at where I was going. I had to look at the tickets, figure out which one was could be easy and which one was not. Right? Which one would be the furthest and which one was closer to home? Because I prefer to go out the furthest first and then make my way back home. So when it's time for me to go home, I'm not stuck in nowhere land. Now, there's situations that happened where um, I had to go to this site to help someone else, or I was stuck at a site. So things changed, right? But overall, that was my goal, or that was my thing. So I went from doing all of that, having a structure, to now having to create it myself as an entrepreneur. Like when I got let go from what is that called? The airport. When I got let go from the airport during 2020, which was during COVID, I had to. I didn't know what to do with myself. At first, I was excited. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to go full time in my trading business. We about to kill it. We gonna work," and we were right. But it got to a point where I was like, "What am I doing? Like, I don't got no structure here." Like I honor my conversations with a lot of the people that I had, conversations with, but they were going way longer than it needs to be, or it would happen randomly. And it's like, as cool that, as great as that was, if you are too available, you are not valued. So I had to learn how to take that away. I had to restrict my access. You no longer have this much access to me because I'm valuable. If I become too accessible, then I become too normal to you. And anything that I do or who I am is not normal. Sweetheart, I'm phenomenal. So I had to operate like that. And as I operated like that, things began to grow. The everything was just amazing. Like, oh man, take me back. Literally. COVID was not the worst year for me specifically. I had the most freedom. I made the most money entrepreneurship wise in my entire life. Um, it's just so much things that I've done and accomplished in the year or years of COVID. It wasn't a terrible. I did also have people that I lost, right? But overall, it still wasn't. It was a great year. It was a monumental year for me, and that's why I am who I am today. Like it was so much of what I allowed to stand on back then that built me to who I am today, literally. So I went from being from which in New York, right, being this comfortable to going to a place which is Houston, a place that I've traveled to multiple times, but it was still comfortable, but not comfortable because I've never lived there. I've only traveled there a few times. And with New York, it no longer served me. I felt like I was not grown. It wasn't a relationship that I needed to get in. It wasn't extra money that I needed to make. It wasn't none of that. It wasn't even a new apartment. I realized that I just needed to give up New York for a while. I didn't know it was going to be a forever thing, but I knew I just needed to leave. And it was in that moment I realized that I no longer live in New York. I live all over the world. So when people ask me where do you live at, it really just depends on when you ask me that question because I technically live everywhere. Like that is the focus, that is the goal of my life is to be able to continuously travel and have a home everywhere. If I wanted to be in Oklahoma, if I wanted to be in Chicago, if I wanted to be in Hawaii, if I wanted to be in Puerto Rico, the Maldives, wherever, Colombia, that everywhere is my home. Literally, everywhere is my home. So I started operating as such. And when I got to Houston during the time I was with someone and we was making things rock. Everything was cool, but I was still uncomfortable because I didn't have the power that I possessed, which was my phone. I was without a phone for like 3 months when I first came to Houston. A lot of people thought that I was dubbing them. I wasn't answering their texts. And I'm just like, I can't because I didn't even get it. Right. And the sucky thing is that I was I was without a phone for so long that they deactivated my service. So that sucked because I had to get a whole new number, right? So long story short, boom, I was able to move into Houston, um, and I was doing. It was a lot in that. Like I don't even got enough time to go fully into detail with the Houston. That's like a whole nother episode. Um, but it was a lot going on with that, some ups and downs. But overall, I had to realize, even in Houston, um, I don't have to be stuck in one place. If everywhere is where I live, then I can live anywhere. So I wanted to create this business, which I'm still creating, a travel business. It's still in works, and it was going to start in Houston. Well, it was going to start in 4 states at once. But then I had a friend in Vegas, and we was like, let's do this together. And we both agreed, come to Vegas. And literally after that conversation, like the conversation happened, like let's just say at 7 o'clock at night. I was on a flight the next morning at 5 a.m. in Vegas at like what 8, something like that, 8, 9 o'clock. Like I wasn't playing. I am. I believe what I believe. Number one, I believe heavily in God, and I believe heavily in myself. I'm confident in myself, so I'm willing to take the risk on me and God every single time. Every single time. So I went from New York, that no longer served me, to being in Houston, that also no longer served me because I didn't have to stay there. Right, it was doing what it had to do, but it was not where I needed to stay at. And I didn't even know that I was called to be in Vegas. I didn't know that. I really didn't know. But it started from, if I never left New York, I would have never ended up in Vegas. It was so many things purpose wise that I needed to, that I didn't know I was doing, that happened in Vegas. Like so many people that I helped, the minds that was transformed, the love that was being given, the words that was being shared, the perspective that was changing. I was like, whoa, I didn't know. And then to be able to be with my church family now, Freedom Las Vegas, the greatest people ever. Like when I tell you, when I got there, I told my pastor, I said, yo, you guys serve big. And I honored that. I came from my church in New York, right? Shout out to Morning Star, Full Gospel Assembly. We serve big. So I'm not I don't like to be in a small crowd and oh yeah, all right, thank you, Jesus. All right, we go. No. I need to feel something. I need to be convicted. I need to be cared for. I need to be thought of. Like I need all of that. And that's what I got from Freedom Las Vegas. But I say all this to say that it's important that you understand that there is a time to quit. I need you to understand that not every relationship you need to stay in forever, right? There are many relationships that you have to end in order for the relationship to start for you. There is some opportunities that you are holding on to that you think is the best ever and it's not. That you think, okay, I put in all of this time in, but it's not worth it. Just because you put in that time doesn't mean that you need to stay there. You just need to make sure that when you leave with something. Like it's like you gotta have a prenup to leaving. Like, okay, I separated, it comes with this. That's it. You have to protect yourself, but you gotta make sure you're gaining. If you was in that relationship for 7 years and you ain't gained nothing, that's on you. You lost then. You failed then, right? And then the last thing is understanding that, oh man, I feel this in my spirit that there is someone that have been stagnant. And you've known this, you've heard God say this to you. There's been too many confirmations for you to leave where you are at. For some people, it could just be a residence, meaning that it's just the specific, whether it's the house, it's time to get you a new house. If it's the apartment, it's time to get you a new apartment, right? Condo, whatever, right? Maybe it's just, okay, when I need to go to a different street, I need to go to a different area in my state. For others, like myself, I had to move to a whole different state twice. And then, even to the extreme, there's someone else that you just might need to leave the country. Like, y'all not talking to me because y'all don't want to hear this. But it is the truth. If it is no longer serving you, why stay there? It is time for you to grow. I encourage you. I give you permission to grow. Let's grow on today's family. Let's grow and leave. Oh, leave well. Leave with grace and leave with something. Family, I appreciate you for joining this amazing episode of the Your Perspective Matters podcast. If you haven't subscribed to it, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is YPM underscore, or not underscore, YPM space pod, right? YPM space POD, right? When it comes to the Instagram or anything else, you just have to type in Your Perspective Matters. I'll see you on the next episode. Why? Because your perspective matters.